Okay, I guess I'll be your secretary. So I think one of the additional duties of the secretary is to record the meeting and also upload it to YouTube. I probably will be the secretary for everyone in order to save people money. Otherwise, they're going to spend a lot of bandwidth on uploading videos. But okay, let's go ahead and get us started. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining this Scrum meeting for today. This revenue management Scrum meeting. So I will share my screen right away. And okay, so we'll start with the daily updates on this Scrum meeting. For myself, there aren't many updates on revenue management besides on some internal tool stuff that are related to revenue management. But basically, it's still for the revenue prediction model for the company. Uh, I tried scraping the values of the features of our listing, and it kind of works. So now we have the list of amenities that are stated in Airbnb, and then it will also be used to update our database regarding our properties. And also, the function of the features are to be used in the LSTM model, of course. And the LSTM model itself is already pretty much built. It just need to be trained and tuned. For RMB8, this is a new initiative that I'm trying to tackle. It's based on my hypothesis that at the end of the month and the beginning of the month after, there will be a surge of inquiries, and maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it's worth checking because it's the second month, and we will see if the pattern of the first month will be repeated. Basically, it's tracking the inquiries, and the deadline is on the end of the first week of May. So the result may be good, may be bad, but this is a worthwhile experiment. And then I also I want to learn Tableau. Basically, it's one of the tools that to be a full-fledged, full-stack data scientist, we also have to be able to visualize our data properly, and therefore that's why I'm trying to learn Tableau right now. So that's all the update for my daily Scrum updates. Maybe next to the list.
Lilith, muted.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, first of all, because the connection is a little bit unstable. But the updates from my side is the Python learning. Last update is I attend the yesterday class. That's all, but I will continue to learn Python for another tools that I need in the future. Let's go to the next card video. And then this one regarding our yesterday meeting, I start to create a new market bidding workflow, and what I've done is, can you go to the activity part? So I learned the MB old workflow, which I already sum up there. That's the resource that I use. But actually, we don't have to open it because it's like so many things there. Just yeah, and then maybe the workflow will be basically the same, but what different here is for the projection. First, for the projection, the revenue projection, maybe because we have used, so VD has done the pricing around properties. That can be our tools to to project. For example, we want to canvas and we want to prospect for a new partner, then we can use that. So it's like a more promising number in the future. And then I also think about, because if we start canvassing from now, finding new potential partners, I think we have to shorten like the contract. So it's like the prediction of our COVID-19 ends is probably before probably this December. So it's like the contract will be not 1 year, but the contract is based on our prediction regarding the COVID-19. So it's basically different in terms of how we create the partner. but the step is basically the same. And then what else? We need to more prepare with before contacting the owner with the definition of beefy itself. So it's related also to branding, I think, because for myself, when once asked me about beefy, maybe I just tell it's like property management company. But I think we have to dig dive about what is beefy and what is not beefy. I put it on our weekly initiative discussion. So that's all from me for the second. But it's my purpose. I need you to. I mean, do you agree that I will
Oh,
work on this or not for the previous one? This one.
yeah, but for me, yes, I second that. But I have a question actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, can you repeat, like, elaborate why we want to reduce the contract time again?
yeah. Because when the previously we contracted for 1 year, but
Yeah.
we do have normal situation that for example, the projection we project based on the optimistic, and we assume that the condition will be the same. But for this situation, we have the new normal, and actually we don't know when the new normal will be renewed again. I mean, for example, when the COVID-19 is one example is, for example, the commission. If we take a very large commission or very low commission in different time, uh, I think it's also influence the potential partner.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's one example. I mean, what is the other? For example, the service is like before we don't have to see something else. I haven't clearly defined, but I think there's difference between the service before and after the COVID.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That makes
Lewis. Okay. There is definitely going to be some differences, I think, in service quality. The actual, I would say, term of a contract can actually be more favorable to Bukit Vista at this point. And more favorable generally would mean longer terms, and actually we can defend our commissions. Um, the reason I believe that is because essentially there are a lot of property management companies that will not make it through this crisis. But then there's going to be a lot of need for property management, as you can probably imagine. Um, if you are an owner in Jakarta with a property here in Bali, or if you're a Balinese person with a property in Bali, you're going to be facing increased competition now with everybody who's going to be scrambling all over the place to find any guests into their property. So ultimately, the company that does the best job of being able to identify the correct demand will be the most powerful company in Indonesia. In fact, if you can actually assure that you have the first demand and the best quality of guests available, you can pretty much dictate any contract that you want. Now, okay, going back to this idea of projections. Projections were originally created to sort of facilitate market building efficiency. So we created projections so that market builders would be able to negotiate well on behalf of property partners, and especially around this idea of flexible pricing. That if we were able to create a projection, we can we can create more flexibility with pricing, and that allows our revenue managers to essentially work with more freedom. Um, that is actually not necessarily a key selling feature at this point. At this point, if that was, you would hear a lot of complaints from, I think, all the owners saying, "Hey, look, why are you not hitting your projections?" But at this point, I think we've reached, actually, like you said, a new reality. And I think that new reality is around survival, right? Can you actually still help me survive and issue a few guests every month so I don't have to like keep paying down on this property? Like in the case of Villa Visca. So they're looking for survival. They're looking for any way to help reduce what their $2,000 a month monthly lease on that property will be. So in some ways, actually, Lilith, we've simplified the job revenue managers have to do. We've simplified the job that market building has to do. We simply have to exist and provide some sort of line of income, or at least a line of reasonable advice to property owners. I think with that, that is our new value proposition. And that is something that I'm discussing currently with community too as well. So the idea is, what do we actually, what is our value right now?
Yeah.
What do we actually get paid to do? So we get paid to actually figure out what's going on right now and communicate that knowledge to everybody who's part of our community. That's our value. That's what people feel good about having Bukit Vista manage their property about, is that they can know, am I in this all by myself, or what do you guys see at your point of view that you could share with us? So in that aspect, a projection is not our strength right now, because nobody can give a projection right now, right? I don't think anybody, any organization in the world can reasonably create a sales projection on what they intend to achieve in the next 6 months. That's kind of a little bit outside the power, our control of anything. AI can't even help us with that right now. So I think this idea is really good. This idea of restructuring the market building process, but also recognize that at this point, we have a lot of control over the marketplace now. We have a lot of overall knowledge. If we want to actually leverage what we have a lot of control. We know what's going on across everywhere. We see the data every day. Most people don't see the data, and they might think it's worse or better than it actually is. So that's one. Two, we talk to our community quite frequently. So we're able to kind of know how other people are doing as well. And three, we have access to 180 different property owners. And so we can bring them together if we want, for them to actually figure out what's going on too as well. So it's almost like we have a survivor raft here in the middle of the ocean. And by being part of this survival raft, you improve your chances of actually getting through this crisis better. Why? Because we're sharing information. Now, the next part, I think this is just a refinement of the idea. You don't need to set 6-month contracts right now, because then that's more administration, right? At the end of 6 months, we're going to have a new discussion and decide whether to renew. You can set essentially almost unlimited time contracts right now. Most properties right now are coming to us with the intention of, my current manager will not be able to manage this anymore. Can you manage it? I'd rather have somebody manage it than nobody manage it. And that's fair. That's fair. We can make sure that, hey, look, we make sure that your staff actually will show up to the villa. We make sure that essentially you get some good information every month about what our predictions are. And we make sure that your property doesn't fall into decay, which is like what the house next door is doing. So the value proposition has actually shifted to a much more conservative level, and we don't need to necessarily create projections or to think about the same level of service. What we do need to leverage is what we're good at. What we're good at is that we have this community. What we're good at is that we can see a lot of data. And what we're not good at, what we're not doing right now, is that we're not communicating this regularly to the community. And that's an initiative I want to start to as well.
Right.
Community management, that we need to be able to invite all 180 property owners in and tell them, all right, this is what Bukit Vista has seen this month, and this is the chapter update from revenue manager. And then revenue managers will talk about what they see is the future. And they, great. All right, next, content, digital marketing, how we are actually going to help you, let's say, or actually we're kind of helping ourselves in that case. Maybe digital marketing doesn't have too much to say to the community. Let's say HAR, right? What are we doing to get more guest reviews and improve our cancellation sort of swap, right? Stuff like that. So
yeah, like a newsletter, right?
Yeah, like we're like a community builder, like a magazine, like a like an advertiser would.
Yes.
And that essentially then gives reassurance and also community to our community, which means that they can start networking with each other and start figuring out what's going to happen and what they want to access each other. I'm sure one owner would love to talk to another owner and ask, okay, what are you going to do, right? What's your plan? What's the and create that opportunity. So we have that power. So the new, I think, value proposition for Bukit Vista is not so much like the things that we were selling before, projections, forecasts, all that. That can only happen after we have an active marketplace. But the thing that we can sell right now is this idea of togetherness, of this idea of let's make it through this together. And you can tell your friends that's what we do. We are essentially the company that will help all the properties that we manage survive. And that's very much part of our goal. So in this aspect, you can retune the business proposition, and as far as projections go, don't focus on that. I think it's impossible for anybody reasonably like rational understands that it's very difficult to actually create a projection on an unstable economy on a decreasing flood. I mean, like, what are you going to actually do? Nothing. It's not really up to us. So think about that, and I think about the strength of the position that we have at the moment, and that I think can actually reinforce the strength of the contract. One of Nung biggest contributions was that she showed us we were much stronger than we had actually thought we were. Uh, we all thought that we were just an agency at first. We thought that we were just one of many partners that a property partner could work with. We got rid of that idea after Nunli joined, and she showed us that it was right. We could actually ask for exclusive contracts, and people would give it to us. We could deny people taking up bookings from everywhere else, and owners would agree to that because what we have is a really really strong service. So don't forget that. Don't throw that aside. We are a strong company. We have a strong product. We are far more innovative than any other management company in the region, and we're getting better each day. So bank on that as an idea because by the end of 6 months, we'll probably have more to offer than we did 6 months when you first signed the contract, and you should be feeling more well served. That's at least the idea. That's what we will try to deliver. Okay. All right. So that part I want to just
Right, right. So a follow-up question will be, sir, regarding this is related to the needs of revenue manager and managing a property, like especially a new property, since I don't know the extent of information that we will receive from the owners regarding the property that can also be used to manage their own property, right? Is it included in the contract and so on and so forth? Like um, maybe when we're constructing, do we have plans on? We have plans, right, to recruit more owners, right, sir?
Oh,
Right now,
absolutely, absolutely. I think
right?
right now, yeah, is a great time to actually think about recruiting new owners.
Yep. And for now, will the contracts stay the same as the contract we have had before, or do you plan on constructing or modifying the contract to kind of like empower these owners? So, but what I meant by empowering is that by having more, not the control over them, but the access to the information that allows us to better evaluate the property, basically.
That's a great discussion topic, I think, Vinny.
Yeah.
Actually,
So,
that is.
and also the chapter. Which chapter would you kind of like assign before we had market builder? Is it now passed to digital marketing?
Yes.
Because I will be very interested to participate in that kind of discussion. Like
Excellent.
maybe observing or maybe pitching some ideas regarding that. Because I've told you before about the kind of like the friction that I had making deals and all this kind of stuff, right? Because with the legacy contract that we had from the previous version of Bukit Vista, I feel like there are some constraints that is put on Bukit Vista that if the constraints were to be modified or to be loosened, it will actually benefit the owners themselves because
Yes.
we have more access and we have more capabilities. We kind of like when we're constricted, how many choices do we have? It depends on kind of like the contract itself, kind of
Yes.
like that.
I agree.
So, yeah, we'll be really interested to be able to be a part of that. Do you
Okay.
have like
Yes.
maybe just give me a heads up if there are any plans
Okay.
on doing that?
Here. That's a great idea, Vinny. And I think that's actually a pivot from this current idea of actually making the onboarding process better. So let's actually ask ourselves first, right? Go back and then zoom out. Which mission does this belong to?
Right.
This sort of belongs to DM, right? In the aspect of it is acquiring any property anywhere. but it also kind of belongs to revenue management because of
Yes,
the
exactly.
efficiencies that you just mentioned. So let's say that the end purpose of this discussion is to create a contract to result in revenue management efficiencies. Then this belongs to a revenue management discussion now. Now we are essentially looking for ways to create a better owner on flow that will allow us to have peak revenue performance for the owners in their benefit and for us in our benefit too. So yes, I think this can be essentially a maybe extension of Lillis's pivot right here, or yeah, or you can attach as an attachment to this idea. Yes, if we do go about a few things, I want to clarify. One, I am the chief source of leads right now, so they've directed digital marketing has directed all the leads to me because I'm the only person who knows about like what's going to happen. So I figure it makes sense because it's kind of in a state of flux right now, and it's best that I kind of look after it for just as quickly as I can find a delegate, right?
Yep.
So okay, what does that mean? That means essentially that digital marketing's traditional job is to bring in a lead. So they bring in essentially a person who's interested, and then market building converts that into a sale, right? In the future, it will probably be more automated. It will probably be the lead is brought in, and then by using marketing automation, we will do if then to understand what they need, right? So let's say they have given a lead, and best thing, let's say we have an AI scan the photo of the property that they've uploaded. If that AI says that photo looks like a real good villa, then process to the next stage, right? And that can be a schedule with conversation with 5 to 10 o'clock, or sorry, 5 to 6 o'clock at an owner slot. So then they can come in, we can give them the first understanding of Bukit Vista, and it will be just a script, right? Bukit Vista does this, Bukit Vista does that. This is essentially what it is. We can delegate that to Kezia to even do as an intern, right? It'll just be essentially a script. And then, okay, let's say after that, we ask them, okay, if you're still interested, please do this, and and then we'll get you started on the content upload process or whatever it might be following after that. So a very highly automated process that is scalable too, and allows for multiple owners to engage at the same time with a Bukit Vista employee here. So it's kind of like the vision of how that will fill out. Now, is that going to happen today? No, of course not. That we don't have Kezia trained on that yet. We don't even have the script yet. But the idea is to build a market building system that is scalable, that essentially doesn't require individual visits to each property, that doesn't require these 3-week like turnaround cycles, that can be accelerated, that can be distributed globally too. So that part I think is pretty crucial for us to understand. Contract. Okay, about the contract. Yes, I think the contract needs to be modified to make it easier and empower the owner to sort of help us help them, right?
Right.
And reduce frictions that we traditionally have and other things that might interfere with our progress. So yes, I think that can be a best place to put that, Vidi, is right here on this card, on Lilith's card. We can put that as either a new pivot or essentially in a new addition to this idea of modifying the contract.
I think it will be an expansion, I think, because I see that like in this case, the idea of expansion, it came from revenue manager, right? Because we saw the potential of additional revenue by the means of expansion, because we can first, of course, more properties, more revenue, but then also we have clearer view of the market itself.
Yes.
But therefore, I think it's still a part of the market revenue manager. But I think the part of the execution and the discussion regarding the regulations and contracts should belong to market builder, but aided with revenue management like knowledge base, basically.
Okay. Assume that I'm the market builder right now, because
Right.
that's pretty much the clearest. I have, well, I don't have the clearest idea, but at least I have some experience doing this. Right. I got the first 100 properties, I think. So let's do this. If you have anything that you'd like to speak with in terms of market building, just talk to me.
Right.
I've got at least most of the inputs about where this is going to go. The only thing I want to sort of bring awareness to is this idea. So this idea is, what can we really do as revenue managers in the next 12 months, 18 months, whatever it might be, if there's no guests, if there's no flow. The only thing that you can really do right now that would actually be productive is to add properties and strengthen community. So think of that: add properties, strengthen community. Um, the stronger the community is, the more aware they are of each other, the more they want to remain part of this community, the more that we are able to deliver like COVID certification, things like that,
Yep.
the more likely we're going to sail out of this together. And the larger we are able to sort of build this community, the more challenges we're going to also have too as well, Vidi. So
Yep.
when the community expands, there's going to be real tangible challenges, and this feedback from the community, I think, will start creating essentially the foundations of relationships that we want to have post COVID-19. Okay, so
Yep.
it's a really good time to actually invest in community building at this point. Okay, and of course, in order to have community building, then we would need a new market building workflow for that purpose. Okay. Sorry, Lils. Back to video.
Yep. So yeah, that's a good discussion right there. So maybe there are some points to be expanded from this card here. And Liz, maybe there are any other like feedback or response.
Thank you very much for the discussion. Actually, that's all belongs to those process. The new workflow proposal, it's just like the big step, and then the plan is deep dive to each steps. Just like one now we discuss is about the contract signing. That's all. I also questioning what service will be include, right? So how will be the contract like? But because I think the contract will be greatly different with the previous contract. So maybe I will like to study the contract, the old contract, and then we'll bring up to next discussion or next meeting.
Yep. Maybe any discussions regarding contract, maybe here or maybe in digital marketing. Thank you,
Yeah,
Liz.
can be both.
Right. So for RMW0, because since we have a new primary initiative here, we should remind ourselves that initiative U is supply optimization and initiative W is branding development. So to W0, that is.
Oh, this one is actually I haven't thought, but it's just like a slight idea. Talking about branding is actually we need an audience, right? So I kind of seeing like a company making like charity event related with COVID, or we can also relate it with knowledge. Actually, it's also maybe we can discuss about this card later in the weekly meeting paper.
Sure.
Yep.
I suggest to skip this one first.
Okay. Got it.
Oh,
So
quick one.
yep.
Vidi, Lilith, I noticed that you guys have not been putting intended outcomes or hypotheses on these cards. Please go ahead and put that on,
All
right?
right. Yeah. We'll fill in the. Yeah, we should complete
We'll
the.
be more clear
Yeah,
about it.
I haven't put on the last card because I kind of haven't clearly defined what should do,
Okay.
but
Yep.
it's on the
It's
inside.
kind of like a new initiative, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should totally complete the card.
Okay.
Right. So that's the update for the daily Scrum. And next to the idea board, let's wait for this to load up. Okay. So there are some new research thread. So, I think some have been kind of like discussed. First, I think. Okay. Start from Lilith, right? Have you ever did knowledge charity event like property management, property
Yeah,
ownership?
we have one below.
Oh, what we can do for company branding?
Yeah. Actually, I've been learning. It actually that's all question. I've been not learning. Watching the video from the LinkedIn Learning. So they say that the company branding is also started from the employee branding. Just like, for example, starting from seeing the for example, like me, I'm really proud to work in Bukit Vista, so that I manage my LinkedIn profile good to show what I've done in Bukit Vista, for example, like that. That can be one way of branding the company for other outsider, like who wants to seek jobs in the future, who wants to seek property management. So it's just like my insight. And then, do you have any thought about that? Just like from what I've watching.
Right. So this is an interesting thought. So basically, company branding through, like, for example, post in LinkedIn discussing about Bukit Vista, like a testimony from the employees or something like that.
Um, Actually, I want to access from Jing's profile, but I haven't succeed to what is that, to log in. It's only the overview of their courses. Actually, I need to uh, log into Jing account, I think. But I think that, yeah, it's not really testimonial, but it can be testimonial. Just like defining what we have done in Bukit Vista and what is, yeah, it just like kind of, it can be a testimonial, I think, but I haven't dig dive into it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this is also related to my discussion with the digital marketing team with Kagani and Karizal. So yeah, currently I'm the one of the social media that I'm really active in is LinkedIn, and I've noticed that there's a search. It has been like this. It's like this was built, but there has been a search of people sharing information, right? So like knowledge charity. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, it's kind of that also, but mm, this one is different. This is like passive. Knowledge charity is an active, right?
Yep.
Active media that we can conversate to each other. But this one is like a passive. It only put something informative in our LinkedIn. And if there's interest, there's one interest that they can contact us. Or, but with the knowledge charity event, it's just like conducting an event that we. I think of seeking an audience from university. For example, like me or VD has friends in the university, and then we like invite them, because actually I think of starting the branding from small circle, just like it's better than doing nothing actually, because we have resource like uh what I know from today's education development. For example, the Ministry of Pak Nadiem Makarim said that they want to develop the university into campus merdeka, in which they want to give chance to the students to work and to get internship around like 1 or 2 semester in the company, and then they want to gain experience during the study, not outside the study. So it's just like a chance for us to
Oh yeah,
enter the,
that's what my program is also doing, right? The industry lecture, right? Uh, Computer science in University Gajah Mada has that kind of
oh
in already, so it's included in the credits you take in one semester. You can pick a three
oh yeah,
credit.
but I think before this campus merdeka program, there's not many campus doing this.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
I know that as the ministry ordered the university management, like the lecture, they started to doing this program, because my friends just like contacting me that where do you work right now? Is there any possibility that I can send my student to there?
Oh
It's like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We've been trying to do that
That's the
all day
question.
on
But
HR.
but what I this is the in the lecture from Universitas Udayana, that actually they I kind of this major is a new build major. It is industrial engineering. They only have like one batch of student, but I think it can be expanded into other what is that, other major in Universitas Udayana, for example. So that's what I thought about branding actually, and also related to, yeah, resources, I think.
Perfect. If I may, Vidhi,
Yep.
Lilith, I really like this idea. I think this idea is like you said, it's very grassroots and it's very niche and it's very doable too as well. I'll give you an example of how maybe, if I understand this correctly, how maybe somebody could implement this. Today, I did a workshop actually with Cynthia and Chandra and Andre actually. And the theme of this workshop was how to build professional networking skills during COVID-19. So we talked about essentially the marketing funnel. We talked about audience selection. We talked about creating the right message. and we discussed a lot of what they currently did, and I shared some tips on what they could do better. So I think something like that, let's say if they posted that on LinkedIn and said, hey, look, I just had this great learning experience. This company has taught me how to do professional networking. That would actually help, right? That would then essentially carry that message out across that person's social circle. And if they post it often enough, that would draw a huge amount of traffic back to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
And that would essentially start activating a ton of inbound traffic rather than this constantly seeking people outside. So I do think that this needs to be a coordinated effort, right? This is absolutely a very powerful idea. If everybody, like let's say, would post a video of something that they felt was, hey, I learned a lot today at the Skillshare about art paintings. I'll post it on my LinkedIn and share it out to my friends. This is how Bukit Vista develops, let's say, my career path and keeps us sort of sane during COVID-19. I think that's a great branding opportunity. I think that will have a lot of HR benefit to it. So
Right.
I'm absolutely in support of this idea. And I think we need to collectively, I don't want to force anybody to do it. I'm not that kind of person, like post this on your LinkedIn. I mean, but if let's say people would naturally start saying, hey, look, that is cool. I did learn how to do this, and share it out. And I hope you guys will be able to also professionally network from this class I had today. I think that could be great. I think that's a very organic and cumulative way to really start helping the HR mission, which is to build the greatest professional hospitality network in the world, which is really cool. Okay, so
yeah. Sorry, sir.
go ahead.
Okay, so what you said just now about sharing in LinkedIn our YouTube videos, that's actually an initiative. I've discussed this with Kagani and Karizal. So we know that Bukit Vista has their own LinkedIn account, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is part of the MVP that I'm talking about. Revenue management videos will kind of like be shared on that LinkedIn account and
Sure.
fully with like an art, like a short description of what the content is about.
Great.
So from there, because I think about it like this, just like what I've discussed in digital marketing guild. When I go to YouTube to like find tutorials regarding the condition and what are the actual like actionable plans, like there are very very few resources. And this type of content that we're doing, that we're sharing, that we're being transparent as a business, like it's very useful for students in university
I think so.
to kind of grasp like what's it's like in the real world, right? Yeah. So
That's great.
yeah. So that's the student part, but then it also builds the portfolio, kind of, right? The portfolio for Bukit Vista, in a sense, like, so sponsors kind of look at the website, the traffic, kind of like how active it is, and also the like followings.
Yeah.
Social media is like digital marketing is like the front, or like the face of the company right
Yeah.
now. Marketing is the face of the company, but since we're all going digital, it's really, really the face of the company right now.
Absolutely.
So we can go both ways to the students as a like intern onboarding,
Mhm.
to the host. Maybe it can reach out to the host and also to the sponsors.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm glad you see
So
that.
this is an initiative that I've already started with Kagani this afternoon.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect, Vidi. Look, what you're just describing, what Lewis has brought up here, is essentially, think of this. Think of how can we onboard a person as early as possible.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
How do we onboard a 3-year-old to want to work at Bukit Vista, right? So, now that's a little bit extreme, but let's say you could do that. You can push all this training material. You can push all this, let's say, teaching material. You can make a textbook around our company. And if that was essentially studied in universities, that'd be great. Look at it as your major,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
As like an example of a startup. And that would give you already a huge amount of I think, credibility. And the real benefit, Vidi and Lilith, is that we work really well with universities. We work really, really well. We work better with universities than we do with our partners. Mostly because universities, I think, speak the same language we do. We speak data, we're rational, and the things we do make sense. Sometimes our partners are not rational. Sometimes the things that we talk to them, it doesn't make any sense for them. So sometimes we're really inhibited. Like we almost have to like translate to a more simple story for some of our partners. But I think this idea of using LinkedIn for branding, creating content like what we're doing right now, in fact, for an audience is great. It's just taking exhaust, which is stuff that we're just sort of throwing away normally, and we're converting that into fuel that can then fuel more people to want to work here, and for those more branding, sponsorships, all kinds of good stuff. Investors, um, anybody watching this is essentially watching how to build a startup back from nothing, step by step by step, right? And you're right, it's very actionable. So I think that can be an extremely strong point. All right, so I think the discussion is very clear. We're all very excited about it. The next step is how do we get this to go at work, right? How do we get people to actually start sharing out on their LinkedIn? Now, then we have to figure out, okay, whose mission is that, right? Yes, Lil.
Maybe my question is actually this is from my experience when Vidi said that we would upload today's recording, for example. So from my experience, it kind of I'm not really interested actually to open that 1 hour discussion. I mean, yeah. So from my side, when I'm a university student, for example, I kind of wants to figure out, for example, what is it actually discussed in this video, 1 2 3, and then if we want to we interest with the pain point of that, we should direct them into our full video. So just like
Yep. Something quick, right? So like the
yeah,
highlight.
yeah. And
Yeah,
just
that's
like
something.
when we open the LinkedIn Learning, they give us for free for some topics. I mean, for the introduction topic, and then if we want, we have to log in and then pay, for example, just like that. But we get it for uh, we we give them for free. So just that's the difference because I also think of the interface of our LinkedIn. If we also want to use it as our media to attract investor, for example, attract partners and anything else. So it's just my experience and my opinion.
You're very right, actually, Lewis. Very, very true. Once again, this is sort of I think we if we want this to actually be part of our branding, then we need to be a little bit more intentional about how we have these meetings, right? And how these or how these meetings are shared. So I think this is pretty key. In the past, we thought of this as exhaust. So essentially, this is just time that we've spent. So we're just putting it up there, and it's basically meant for an audience of people inside the company who missed the meeting to be able to rewatch the meeting. But if we don't think of it that way anymore, we think of this as actually not exhaust. We think of, in fact, this elevates the purpose of a meeting. If you think of like your meeting is not just for you, but it's actually you have an audience of people sort of depend upon you and maybe even watching what you're going to do next, then it makes it a little bit more maybe focused even. It makes it a little bit more like, okay, all right, we have this mission. We have a group of people watching us do this mission. Let's do this right. So that can be a correct pressure too as well. The other thing is, okay, if we are going to do this seriously, then this becomes branding, and branding then needs a certain format. It needs a certain copywriting. It needs a certain description. It needs bullet points. I think, as you were describing, of ways so that I don't want to watch the whole hour if it's boring, but I need to know what the highlights are and what the summary is. And and I'm working on that today, actually. The good news is I got excited about this idea, and I'm working on it right now. So every meeting we have, I try to think of like what the 3 highlight points are in terms of how that can relate to a topic that's pretty broad, like professional networking or skill development or or I don't know, something else. Or what are we doing right now? I guess we're talking about branding, right? Branding, and then you can put that in the topic, and then describe what it is that you actually discuss about in the description, and then people who want to listen to it, they can kind of listen to it as a podcast, I guess, right? That's the intention.
Yeah, podcast is good also, but I kind of agree with what Lily said. Maybe aside from the full version, there must also be like the highlighted version of the like
Ah,
answer.
sure. Okay.
Yes,
Um,
but that will be another pivot for another day. But
oh yeah.
for now, we can kind of like see
Point.
how this goes first,
Yeah.
and how does the how sharing it on LinkedIn improves the traffic to the YouTube channel,
Okay.
and just see how it goes. And for especially for our MVP, me and Kagani, we will focus on this revenue management meeting because personally, I kind of know I'm participating in it, and I kind of know the points and what to like describe and write, and in the in LinkedIn content and YouTube description basically.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and say, Lilith. So this project has been absorbed on digital marketing, which you
Yep.
are attending every morning too as well. So Gani and Video are sort of like championing that along, and we'll let them we'll let them take care of this part. Okay, but that was a great idea. That was a great discussion. I
Yep,
think
of course,
there's
yeah.
a lot of good things out of it. Okay, Lilith, tell us about your next idea.
Yeah.
Actually, Vidi.
Okay, thank you, Elias, for sharing the idea. If there are anything that any feedbacks for me or Kagani, let us know. Like this discussion is really really good. So next idea from Lilis. Have you ever did knowledge charity event like property management, property owner,
Yeah,
company?
it's related to our discussion
Oh yeah,
previously. But
the knowledge charity, right?
yeah, the
So it
knowledge
has been
charity.
discussed.
But maybe other question, like other charity event. Have we? It's basically that's for future employee, isn't it? Just now
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
we sharing our video about our meeting, it's for the university student and others that needs. But my second question is a charity event for owners, for example. So it's like you did in Canggu, but you did it offline, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
Um,
that's a great idea.
just like kind of other audience, but in the same idea. Maybe in other materials also. But my question now is how we can reach the property owner. Just like
Free seat.
Yeah,
uh,
that's Tracy.
Free seat.
yeah, oh yeah, 3C. But 3C is only for uh, the property owner that already on board, right, sir?
Uh, widen that audience out a little. I think this is a great idea. Another great idea. So we just had a discussion. It's funny. This thread has run through the entire day. So we had a discussion about what the community actually should be doing, right? Um, what what are we doing? Why aren't we sharing more with the community? Why aren't we? Why are people emailing us and asking what's going on, right? We had an email today from
Mm,
Villa Chantique, and they asked us, "Are you guys still in business? Do you guys still plan to be operating?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." But then it sparked this idea of like, why would they need to ask us? Why aren't we telling them that? Why aren't we telling our community every month what our plans are? So I think this idea of a knowledge charity is fantastic, Lewis. It's something that is actionable. It's something that we can do today. We can start preparing for that, and it would really create a center focus for the company. So, what would you like to talk about during this knowledge charity, Lewis?
yeah, for example, like maybe many property owners kind of don't know what actually we are doing now.
Yeah,
What is our strategy to survive?
yeah.
Because oh yeah, I have a call from Padang Padang View owner actually. Hi, did Bukit Vista still exist? Just that's the question. Just like I
What
mean,
we didn't reach out to him. I mean, I thought Tenny's.
I reached out to the owner actually, but it kind of because there's no booking actually. They
Oh,
asked like, apakah Bukit Vista masih beroperasi? Just like that's the question, and I explained yes, we do many research, but we don't have much gas now, so many property is empty now as yours. Just like I explained like that because maybe I don't know. Maybe kind of they he don't realize the situation right
of
now
course.
Right.
because
Yep.
yeah, that's one example. And the other thing that inspired me to do this knowledge charities because uh what I shared in the Bukit Vista about the webinar, right? About the online knowledge sharing. Yeah, it's kind of inspiring me. Why don't we do that also? Because we have our time and also audience. I think.
Let's do
Let's
it.
Right, right.
Let's do it. Let's do a
We can
webinar.
do it. I'll maybe, if I may. So, how many people are in the community right now, sir? Like all the HRs are included.
Mm,
How many people in the property community are the company?
I
Property
think
community, the one that I like for School One. I've noticed that it's sometimes it what's his Rizal? Is it? No, not Rizal.
Rian, Rian.
Rian, right? Sorry, Rian, right?
Yeah, yeah, Rian.
Sorry, yeah,
Rian's really flaky right now. I don't know about it.
yeah, Rian, right? So like for now, the reason why we are really out of touch with the community, like we've tried, right? We've at least tried to contact the community owners at the beginning of the Bukit Vista 4.0, right?
Yeah.
But the method that we are trying to the method in which we try to communicate with them is WhatsApp. It's not scalable,
Yeah.
right? So what if you spend like 10 minutes contacting an owner, not and also the replies, right? And I completely agree with your the previous idea of like a newsletter,
Mhm.
like an automated newsletter each month on the updates on Bukit Vista.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Or maybe weekly updates. Like Airbnb, like often send out newsletters, right? On how
Yeah.
to do this, on updates on that, on this. It kind of shows that Airbnb is actually doing some work.
Yes.
It's just like the way that okay, during the daily scrum, people do not tell other people what they're doing.
Right.
During the daily scrum, people tell other people, other employees what they're doing, and that's why people know that they're working hard.
Right.
Sometimes a lot of people forget that people are working hard now that we do not have a daily scrum.
Right.
Sometimes it's what happens with the owner to how the it happens to be that that's how the owner view us maybe because
Exactly.
when like do not update not updating them every day and
Exactly.
like maybe every week, they kind of do not know our progress, but actually we're working really hard in the background.
Yes.
So it's a good idea to have a like a weekly or monthly newsletter, but in this in the system that we have now, it's not scalable.
Okay.
They like one person will be like texting the owner like 24/7 and so on and so forth, something like that.
Got it. Yeah. That's actually part of 3C culture. How can we actually create that interface of a sustainable and scalable communication culture with owners at this point? Newsletters, the real drawback I've seen with newsletters, Vidya, is that nobody reads them. I mean, Airbnb sends us a lot of newsletters. I hardly ever read any of them.
Yep.
Mainly because they're just, I guess, maybe they're just not personal. It doesn't feel like it's for you. It's for like, so maybe the only thing that you know is that they're automating sending you a newsletter every month.
Yeah, right.
And okay, it's good to get one, of course. It's okay.
Yeah. What about the idea of the group call meeting? How when will
I
it
think
be
that's a great idea. I think
when will it be initiated?
I think
Because-
we should do that in May. As soon as May happens, I think we should get into a culture of getting everybody together for an all week like webinar, right? Or just
right, correct.
So we'll
That's
host a
what I-
webinar
yeah.
on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And here's an invitation to attend. You can attend any of these times, right?
Right.
And that way we can get our message out to a large group of people. And
Yep.
then we
Right.
send, afterwards, we send a newsletter to everybody with a summary of the findings, right?
Right.
And that
Yeah.
then becomes a pretty complete experience.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a really good idea.
Yep. Okay, great. Sanjay, that way, thank you for the endorsement. That way, people like Pat Made at Padang Padang View won't need to ask us, are we still alive, right? We are, because you're being invited to the webinar every month. I think this will be a very good initiative, and this will allow scalability. It's essentially an all hands for the community. We're essentially asking the community to just come in and just listen. And we could do many things. We could record the session so that people who couldn't come could see it. We write a newsletter, we put the recording in it, and we say, hey, look, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for coming. Here's a summary of the event. And this is what we talked about. And these are the 3 takeaways. And share with your friends and bring more people next time. So
Right.
you become like a religion, right? And I think the key in order to create, let's say, that religious effect is data. Is what is the report? What are the numbers showing? What's happening right now? What is the facts about what's going on? What are the facts? What are the facts? What are the facts? And that way, I think we will solve many problems. In the past, in Squad 1, we were defeated by rumors and Bing it. People who had agendas different than ours, they were able to dispel a lot of bullshit in the area, not related to fact at all, and slander our name, so to speak, and able to get our market share through that. So I think if we have regular fact-based communication, that can be more under control. And this is I think great. I don't want to hijack Lewis's idea. I think this should be a gift to the community. This should be essentially we're taking what we've learned and we're taking the best practices that we've observed and we want to share that with everybody so that everybody can survive in this condition and you can all work your way out. Facts about how to, let's say, for on-site staff, training, management. We can share facts about market trends, about what we've seen in the virus, our predictions of how long this will take, your things that you share here at revenue management, guys and lady, right? The stuff that you share here, let's share that once a month or whatever, some sort of frequency with the overall community. And they can see, okay, all right, now this is what Bukit Vista is doing. And that then I think creates charity, it creates community, and it creates clear communication. Yeah?
Of course.
Okay, great.
Maybe I have to remind about the dependency. So it's already 28th of April if you aim to do it in the first week of May, because it will take time for us to kind of like construct a good presentation, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we have to kind of like, we need, because you're the one who's going around the chapters nowadays, but of course we can also go to other chapters meetings, right?
Easy. I'll show you how it's done. We have a template already for this from the community.
Right.
So the presentation is super simple. All it involves is just three things, right? Or not just three things, but I'll share this with you. Any 3C initiative, this was already a pivot that we came up with. So you just need to kind of take a look at this this layout, right? This is the template. So the first part, build trust, right? So talk about why you're having this event. Talk about what the purpose of it is for, and talk about just who you are, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Find the problem. What is the problem that everyone's facing? And this can be problem A, problem B, problem C, right? So identify all the problems that we see. What's the opportunity? What does it mean for us? What can we do to address these problems? And what's the solution? So what is it that is a possible way to benefit from this problem? And then what do you want everyone to do? Call to action. This is a pretty easy format for I think any community message or any topic that you'd like to discuss, any charity event. So you can expand on this. You can have problem A, problem B, problem C, problem D. But as long as I think we use this this format, anybody should be feeling empowered in a very short amount of time to create a presentation that the community will be able to digest and take to heart. So don't think too much about like, oh, I need to make this perfect, right? We already know what the problems are. Everyone knows what the problems are, right?
Yep.
The problems are there's no bookings. The problems are that there's nothing much happening going on. Okay, great. Everyone knows that. What's the opportunity?
The solution.
Yeah.
And the solution.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part.
The solution is what we talk about here every day. What we talk about here every day are just like what we talked about yesterday. There's all these problems that we see. There's all this stuff happening around the world. But is there an opportunity? No. I mean, like these are sort of outside of our scope. What's the opportunity? What is the thing that we can actually take action on today and fix? So try to figure out what that might be and then present your solution. We already have a few. We have essentially the COVID cleaning, right? COVID safe certification is an opportunity. And Airbnb sees that too. I was surprised. I was like, okay, all right, we're kind of aligned on this idea. And think about revenue management too. Marketing, branding. Like this could be a good time, not just for ourselves to show a brand, but for the properties to show their brand. Maybe this is a good time to tell property owners, hey, remember all those past guests that you've had? Do you have them on WhatsApp? Now might be a good time to share this message with them, right? And we can share professional networking opportunities with our community. We can say, hey, look, maybe you can reach out with a message and show them what the situation in Bali looks like, right? Tell them about your property. Tell them that whatever is happening is happening. Tell them the truth. And at least then you get branding now as previous guests. And ask for testimonials, right? That's another thing that we've been talking about. Now is a really good time to say, hey, look, you were my former guest. Would you be happy to give me a testimonial? Because I'm looking to strengthen my brand right now during COVID-19. That's a great opportunity, I think, that we can share, that we've discovered for ourselves, but we can share that with our community too, right? So follow this format, I think, and this will essentially be able to you'll be able to share something quite your charity with the wider community. Okay, all right, back to video.
Okay, so we still have a few initiatives, but I've noticed that we hit the time limit. So we want to continue the discussion, or do we have any other agendas after this?
I'm not too busy after this, so if you guys have energy, I can keep on. But if you guys want to,
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're coming to the next initiative. Thank you very much. So
Oh,
what?
but I have additional for the 3C. Maybe we can also touch the owner, just like asking, for example, like the owner of Villa rumah pertama. What is that?
Pilar rumah pertama.
Yeah, Villa rumah pertama. He kind of have knowledge, right, about property and how is the situation. Maybe we can give chance for like one owner to share during the
Oh yeah,
3C.
that's a good idea.
Just like
good speaker.
giving, yeah, the speakers is like maybe 5 until 7 minutes, just like sharing how their thought, and then do they have any tips for that, just like. And also it's very touching actually when we give them chance to speak in front of everybody else. It's like they feel like we really give respect to them, just like.
Absolutely. This is great. I think this is really kind of congealing into a real thing now, like a webinar where there's guest speakers. Where wow, this is
Yeah.
really good. Okay, fantastic.
Maybe that's additional. And then
Mhm.
what is next? Yeah, it's just like kind of professional networking. I actually already asked Aldo about this. How can I reach people when I want to? Communicate with them, and this is only sharing. Just like if I want to know more about branding and the strategy, I also check my friend that is working on branding in other company. Just like I want to get more about branding knowledge actually. I don't think we need to discuss because we
Okay.
already discussed our
Yeah.
presentation, right? About
Okay.
Bukit Vista.
Okay. So do
Linus,
we?
Lee,
Mhm.
you can bring that discussion over to digital marketing tomorrow morning. Yeah,
Yep.
Which one, sir?
branding.
It's 10 o'clock one.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay.
then
So,
11 o'clock. Wait.
Oh,
Time zone problem.
oh, Vinny, what did you think? What was?
No, I had I forgot. Digital marketing is 10
confusion about time, sir.
10 a.m. Jakarta, West Indonesia, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
11 o'clock here, but yeah, 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, totally bring that up in the digital marketing chapter meeting tomorrow morning. Thank you, Liz. So we have the next idea in the idea board. Do we open for Bali's University? Yeah.
It's actually already discussed also just now.
Oh yeah,
Maybe kind of assuring that do we open for this opportunity, sir?
Sure. Okay. Here. Let me just tell you something, and
Yeah.
then I will qualify it. Okay. So, Udana University is on our blacklist of do not hires. Generally speaking, and the reason has been that most of the Udayana candidates that we've had, in fact, all of them did not even pass trials. All of them got through about like day 2, and then we said no more. Mostly it was from what I noticed at Udayana was that there's a lack of initiative. There was like if you don't tell them exactly what to do, they will just pause right there and be a statue. So that is definitely not something that we want as part of Bukit Vista culture. We want people to be more proactive. But okay, in this case, I will take that as a recommendation from you, Liz, who I respect your opinion. If you believe that this person has, let's say, a proactive tendency and is smart and can add energy and enthusiasm and contribute to.
Actually, I don't know the students, sir. Just like
Yeah.
Let's take a chance. Let's take a chance, Lilith. Let's take a chance because right now we don't got much. We're not too busy, right? So it's not like we're gonna take like a huge loss if we try it out. But yes, I would be open to this idea of partnering with. At least it's an engineer, so I think at least engineers think a little bit more structured and not like what's going on. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to learn. That is generally a very difficult HR moment, right? Where you have to like literally bring them to every single thing for understanding to occur. Yes. So the simple answer is yes. I'll be open to investigate this opportunity. Okay.
okay, sir. That's all from me. I don't have any.
Okay, thank you for any other like ideas on for to be added in the ideas board or any more? Anything else? Okay, so I think we're done for today. Thank you for attending the Scrum meeting. Oh, sorry, we have to assign the chair for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow the chair will be Mr. Zhang, and
Okay.
secretary will be Lilith. Right? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Vinny, for leading today. And thank you guys for I think a really involved, wonderful discussion. I think we have a lot of good initiatives right now that have impact and are very actionable. Next step is just making it happen, I think. Lilith, you have some cross-chapter things that you can do now. Now part of the work goes into community, part of the work goes into digital marketing. So I think now you can start forming task groups to pursue each of these ideas. And that is actually the final iteration. That is where you should be actually having the most amount of meetings in your task group, in your pivot group. Okay?
I should have a question in that, sir. So if we have a like cross-pollination of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like what we had this morning.
Yeah.
So the since it belongs to another chapter. The primary what do you call it here? Project champion.
Project champion. Yeah.
Yeah. Should be the person in that chapter,
It should
right?
be. It should be. Let's just say
Right. So
if
we're
all works,
working.
if all works well, it should be a collective effort, right? The project champion is simply the person who will follow up, right?
Right.
That's simply the idea. The person who is responsible for following up on that idea. If that person doesn't follow up, then maybe you guys got to determine a new project champion, right? And that's okay too. I think that is essentially a process. Where work should really get done, Vidi and Lewis, is inside not necessarily even your chapter, but inside your project group. It should be each pivot involves a lot of people in it, and within that group, that's where you guys ideate. Like me and Andre, right? I guess we're in different chapters. I'm in part of every chapter right now, but Andre and I are working like a lot on this idea of the script, on filming, on all this stuff to get this video out, and so that is where the work is happening actually. So that part I think is pretty key to understand. Meetings are great for sync and to understand, and you can visit different meetings to see what is going on. But think of meetings as a shopping area. Actually, that's the best way to describe it. Think of like the Scrum meetings as a mall of projects, right? So you're going and you're sort of going to the mall and you're going to the store and you're listening. Oh, what's going on here? And then you're like, oh, cool. I'll buy it, right? I will buy and I will get involved around that idea. And that way, I think that fluency should happen.
Yeah,
that's my.
In IT companies, it's called like a tribe, right?
Yeah, it's like a tribe. Yes, that's
like a tribe. I have three maybe right now. Is it three with Kagani, Nadine, and Andre, right? And it's that's why we have a lot of pairing.
Oh,
yeah, and
this isn't a tribe. This is more like a guild, you could say, right? Like
A guild, yeah, right. A
it's more
guild.
like a guild. A tribe is like the entire unification of every chapter and everything.
Oh, but is it a squad though? Squad is composed of different chapters, right?
Right. Yes. So a squad is a single unit that's on a mission. So right now,
Yeah.
actually, the funny thing is that chapters are squads. I know it's kind of weird, but
Yeah.
the chapter is actually the squad now. Because before, the mission was to operate a territory, right?
Yep.
So in Bukit Vista 3, the mission was to operate this territory. So this is Squad 1 territory, Squad 4 territory, Squad 3 territory, Squad 2 territory. So that was the mission. And essentially, that's what needed to be followed up on: growing the area, developing revenue in the area, getting the, so that's why you had to slash the the chapters. But really, right now, chapters are squads. So chapters are full of people who are on a mission to promote their chapter's mission, which also happens to be whatever. So
So it's more like a guild.
yeah, but a guild is kind of like a temporary matrix. It's
Yes.
a temporary matrix where people from different things get together and they work on an idea and they work on a project. It's kind of like the idea of a war room, right? So like at Facebook, when I went to Facebook, this was pretty interesting. You'd see these war rooms everywhere. So like, what's a war room? And it's basically a meeting room that's been taken over by a group of people from different departments to work on one thing, to work on Facebook video, right? And that's all they would work on. They would work on creating and distributing and engineering Facebook video. And so they would get together temporarily for like 2-3 weeks, sit in this war room, and they would leave wherever they were sitting before and just focus on getting this particular feature shipped. So that's kind of like where this sort of works. It's almost like a jazz band. It's almost like you play with the band a little bit, and then sometimes you have a solo, and then you play with the band a little bit, and sometimes you have a solo, and sometimes you play with 2 people, and the band backs you up. And so there's this. It should be like the Spotify model, right? Where people get together organically, work on things, and then disband back to their chapters to sort of ideate, and then when they come up with a new idea, they coalesce again into a small group. Yeah, that's I would say perfect innovation culture if we can get that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I guess that's it.
That's it. Sorry for taking up so much of the voice space, but I get really excited when.
No, of course, it's really fun. Like this kind of discussion, it's what we need right now, I think.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this is how I think we build strength during the crisis too, as well.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Vinny, Lilith, for leading, and see you guys later. Bye bye. See you guys tomorrow morning. Yeah, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lilith. Bye bye.